Welcome to the Chief Aim podcast. This is your weekly dose of real experiences, insights, strategies, and action steps for entrepreneurs who want to build and are building something incredible. Welcome back again to the Chief Aim podcast. I'm Jason Graystone.
I'm Sebastian Bates.
And we're still in Dubai, in the same clothes.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's just amazing.
We just love wearing these clothes and hanging out here.
I know. I hope you're enjoying this little series so far. I hope it's been valuable. We've had a lot of great comments, a lot of great feedback, so I assume you are. We're going to take it the next step now. So we've got a few more steps to get through in this series, and this one is all about sales. So sales is something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with. First of all,
anything but sales.
Anything
but sales. You've got to explain where that joke comes from.
ABS, right? Yeah. Put the brakes on. Anything but sales. What I've found is entrepreneurs go into business and instead of rather making sales and measuring all the things that we've been talking about over the last series of this, they'll just create a new product or go and do charity work or start something or go to,
They do anything but sales.
Anything but
because sales, for a lot of people, feels unnatural or kind of... they feel uneasy with it, and I think there's a huge element of imposter syndrome there. So I think framing sales is really important. So let's just start with that. For me, sales, if you truly believe in your product or service, which you should, otherwise why are you doing it? If you truly believe that it can help someone else, it can solve a deep pain or problem they've got, and that it's fairly priced, then you're doing them a favor, right? You're actually doing them a service, which really, for you to carry on doing that, because you're not a charity, you have to get paid for it, right? Otherwise, you won't feel happy about continuing it, and you'll feel like you're being taken advantage of. So for me, sales is actually a really fun thing to do, and I enjoy sales because I know that when I sell something, it's to solve a problem. And sales for me is someone saying, "Yes, I'd like you to solve that problem," and then there's fair trade. So for me, there's a real feel-good feeling when I make a sale because I'm starting a long-term or even a short-term partnership with someone to ultimately help them.
Yeah, look, we need to address this, right? Making money is purely a byproduct of solving a problem for someone, and you have to see it that way. So it is your job to sell something to someone where they may not understand why they need it. So it's your job to actually convey and explain to them why they need that, how it's going to help their life. So first of all, your product has to be great and you have to believe in it. Second of all, you have to understand it's your job to get them over the line and change their life. And there is a process that you have to follow to do that. You have to, there's a conversation that has to be structured in a certain way to really.
And if you want to work with the customers that you love working with, you've got to win them over. You've got to build trust, and you've got to do that through a sales conversation. At some point, you are going to have to sell. So just to kind of put, if anyone's doing anything but sales right now, listening to this, just to put that to rest, I think it's an awareness thing, right? It's very typical with startups. If you've been in business long enough, in order for your business to survive, unless it's a side hustle thing, then you would have had to make sales. So this primarily just goes out to the startups who are noticing this. Just have an awareness over the activities that you're doing day to day. Do you notice yourself coming up with new ideas or distractions or whatever it is that makes you feel good because it's avoiding sales? You are doing anything but sales. Do you find that you're creating a new product or service? You're focusing on doing stuff for free, or you're avoiding going to give the sales presentations you could be giving? Does your day-to-day activity push you towards generating revenue through making sales, or does it distract you and do the stuff that you enjoy doing, right? I think entrepreneurs are very creative. We love creating things, right? So you might be stuck at home creating a new methodology or creating a new type of product or a new service, when really you've got something which works, you just haven't pushed the sales on it.
Yeah.
And so if you want your business to grow, that's where your focus needs to be. So it's about being strict with your time and being honest with yourself. Are you pushing yourself into anything but sales, or are you happy to do sales?
Let us know in the comments as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments if that's you. And while you're there, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel as well, because most people that watch videos on YouTube aren't subscribed to the channel. So off on a tangent there. But anyway, so anything but sales, right? How do we get people into a sales conversation that isn't salesy and is going to help you both get what you want? Because you're literally doing a disservice to the world if you can't get as many sales as possible right? Because the money that comes from the sales helps you reach more people and change more lives. That's literally it, right? So I've done many sales presentations over the years, and I've kind of nailed it into a kind of conversation now that takes place where people end up just buying at the end without it being like salesy, right? It's just understanding that you've got the solution to their problem, and that's basically it. So the first thing you need to do when you get into that presentation that we spoke about last week or the week before, can't remember, you get them into a presentation, the first thing you want to do is just go, why are you here? You know, why are you here? Get them to open up and tell you what their problems are like.
Asking questions, gathering data, gathering insights. So that when you do give them an answer, it's more personal because you're doing it based on the stuff they've told you. You're not treating them like a generic person who's just walked in. You're giving them laser-focused product or service just specifically for them, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, just a quick example as a little bit of a teaser. We had a conversation with Dan. He said, you walk into a car showroom and they say, I know what car you want, right? And you think, who's this sleazeball?
Yeah.
As opposed to, what's important to you? Oh, you want safety, child safety, you like going camping. Oh, okay, what else? What else? You like going fishing, whatever, right? You do long miles, long journeys. I know just the car you want. And just by asking that, it's a completely different response to the cheesy sleazy salesman, right? It's completely different. You come from a place of, oh, this guy just wants to sell me anything, to this guy understands me, and now I want to know what car he's recommending, right? So ask questions. It's like, why are you here? What have you tried before? How did that go for you? What else have you tried? How did that go, right? And get them to collect all of this data that they're telling you as to why, you know, and you can really start to understand there's patterns there, right? Why they're not getting the result that they want, because it's not really down to many things. There's going to be one or two things missing that you can hopefully help them with. The next thing is, once they've admitted that, you start kind of future, basically explaining the pain that they could end up with if they carry on doing what they're doing. So you help them see, projected forward, what might happen if they carry on doing what they're doing, right? So, like with bullying, right? If you don't address this now, you know,
carries on into adulthood.
There could be an adulthood.
Chronic bullying,
right?
Influences every decision they make in their life from a victim mentality. It's painting a picture, right, of the worst case scenario, so they understand what a heavy weight you'd be lifting if you help them solve this problem, right? And often I find there's an education piece here as well, because a lot of people aren't aware, you know, just how damaging by not doing the thing that you're helping them with actually is, right? If you don't specifically work to develop your child's confidence when they're young, they have no idea about the knock-on effect that's going to have the rest of their life. You know, so for us, it's about talking about the impact that has on the decisions they make in life, like the work they choose, the passions they seek, the relationships they have, the social circle they have, you know, the peer pressure they're influenced by, all this sort of stuff, which stems from just that one decision that day that the parents got to make about specifically wanting to develop their child's confidence, right? Which you serve by providing a service for. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. You know, painting a picture of how it looks the dark side of this. You know.
And then there's just listening to some kind of objections they might have. So when it comes to objections, there's going to be like, they either don't believe in your product, okay, to which point you can kind of have in the back of your mind, well, I've got testimonials, I've got results for other people, so you want to have something to overcome that. Their internal objections will be, they don't believe they can do it. I'm not a numbers person. I'm not a fitness person. You know, I don't. It's something in them that they don't believe that they could get the result because of something in them. And the external objections is usually resources, so time, money, decision makers, partners. I have to talk to my partner, all these kind of things, right? So get a little picture of that going on as well, so that you're equipped to talk about how you can get them over the line and show them why they need to overcome those objections. The next thing is basically selling them the outcome. So it's like, now you paint a picture of what their life will be like. You know, this is the dream. And I think this is where a lot of entrepreneurs go a little bit wrong. They bombard people with all the details that are included in, you get this module and this program and this download and this, you'll have to do this accountability and that accountability. And people are like, it goes back to what I said about the six-pack thing, right? I just want a six-pack. Like, I don't want to know about all this stuff I need, right? So you sell them the dream and don't deviate from that, because that's what you're doing. You're selling them the outcome.
Yeah.
Right?
Once you've sold the dream, then you can talk about the inclusions, because that's about showing just how much value is packed into your offering, right? So offer is almost like a separate kind of episode. We could do another episode on offer because I run an offer workshop for about 300 business owners a year through Dent, and for me it's one of the most important subjects, offer, because if you've got an irresistible offer, you could be an average salesperson. If you've got an irresistible offer, which is a no-brainer for customers, they're likely to sign up. But you could be an amazing salesperson, have a really bad offer, which just doesn't stack up in the market, and no one's going to be interested. So yeah, offer's a big subject, which we can go into another time. But yeah.
This is a quick shout out to the sponsor of this show, Shield, who help us deliver this podcast, along with all the social media that goes with it to help us get it out to more people, which leaves us to focus on just creating more great conversations. If you want to start, delegate, or optimize your social media or podcast, or if you want to build your very own online course or program, get in touch with the team at shieldglobal.io. So sell them the dream, right? Don't get bogged down with the details. And then the next thing is any concerns they might have, right? Just address them. So address elephants in the room. I've always addressed elephants in the room. I'm like, right, okay, I'm selling this program. What's on your mind? Why aren't you going to buy this from me? Why wouldn't you? Do you trust me? Do you like me? Do you like what I stack? Because if you've done all this right, by this point, they've spent hours with you. They've built so much trust with you. So now it's like, do you like me? Just ask it. Do you trust me? Do you like what I stand for? Okay, it's not that, right? And
it's almost never about price, right? So the objections are, in the last episode we talked about studying your numbers, right? When it comes to sales, study the objections, become a master at understanding those objections and why they occur, because then you can actually, as Jason says, right? The elephant in the room are the objections. Start creating content around those objections as part of the warm-up phase. So if one of the objections is, the money, which really, for me, it's never normally a case of it's too expensive. It's a case of I don't value it enough, or I don't see the value enough, right? So it's about educating them on the value in order for the price to become acceptable. But whatever the objections are, if one of them is it takes too long, or how does it actually compare to others in the market, or there's not a social proof, you can then start doubling down on content, specifically video content, in the warm-up phase, which talks about that. And I think that really, really helps reduce the amount of objections you get on the final stage when you finally do have a sales conversation.
And during that as well, if you figure out that there's something that people really want, and you just tell them you've got it, and then go and create it. Like there's things that you can actually add to your service as a result of, especially in the new phase when you're an early startup or you're doing this for the first time. Just get this feedback and start building what they want, because then it becomes really easy to sell. It might be a bit of work, but you do one presentation and you add something, you do another presentation, add something, all of a sudden you've got a stack load of assets that when you do the 10th presentation, you're like, I've got this that will help with that. I've got this that will help with that, right?
It reminds me of one of our episodes earlier, which was a race to Mark IV, right? Where I spoke about how to quickly, if you're creating a brand new business or service, how to quickly get a very refined concept which builds social proof as you go. What was it? It was in the Versus series. I can't remember which one it was. The race to Mark IV, and really, anytime someone says no to you, anytime someone gives you an objection, it's an opportunity for you to refine your service and create an irresistible offer, which is a complete no-brainer, right?
Yeah. And then, finally, you ask for the sale. So you overcome the objections, you ask for the sale, and you say, here's how much it is. Don't be afraid. This is how much it is. In terms of pricing, a lot of people struggle with pricing because they price it at a point where they don't feel worthy, that it's too much. They don't feel like they should charge that much. And there's another playoff between you're undercharging and you feel a bit resentful for actually delivering the service, and that can cause the burnout and all this, right? And you're just like, I hate the thing. So you need to find a sweet spot, and this is why value stacking and building other assets on top is going to be so powerful, because what I find is if you can value stack so much. Russell Brunson used the analogy of an iPhone. He stood up on stage, he says, I'm going to upgrade my phone, I'm going to sell this, who will pay 10 grand for this iPhone? And obviously everyone knows they're like £900. And he says, Okay, well, I'm going to leave in my list of contacts of billionaires. I'm going to leave in my £100,000 worth of digital ebook training, £500,000 of course material that I've paid for, and eventually some hands go up and say, "I'll pay 10 grand for that," right? So there is a price point at which people will pay. Your job in your pricing, and it is an important thing, pricing, is try to get it so that they perceive it to be worth way more, right? So that they think, yes, but you charge 10% of what they think it's going to be worth. So it's like, I'll definitely make the sale. And the way you make up for the profit of that, because you might think, well, I'm underpricing myself now. You're actually not, because when they get fantastic results, they then go and tell other people. And that's what we'll talk about that in another episode about upsells and continuity and a flywheel effect.
And just to add on to that as well, let's say you've got a sales conversation coming up, one of the things I like to do is make sure people are aware of the price before they come to that, because then it prevents you from, or at least the range of the price, right? Let's say you've got it's a £5,000 product, but you want to discount it to £3,000 as part of the value stack on the sales call. So I would just say, look, it's typically between £5,000 and £10,000 the product. So then when they come onto the call with you, and you can say, depending on what you want and how much of it you want and that sort of stuff, it's between 5 and 10K. They come on the call with you, you list the inclusions. You haven't wasted your time with someone who's only going to spend a K, £1,000 or whatever it is, right? You're with someone who's expecting to spend £5,000 to £10,000, and then you're giving them an incredible, irresistible offer.
Yeah.
For me, that's one of the best ways of creating a little surprise, which is delightful, and people enjoy that. People love surprises, right? Good surprises, not bad surprises. Human beings love surprises, and I think that immediately overcomes the objection of price when you do that.
I think there is a whole episode on offers. We'll do something, because there are things that you can do to pack into an offer that will remove you from competition, literally, just by giving your little services titles and names that they can't be compared to other things, and you can really, really create some amazing offers. And perhaps we'll do a whole episode on that separately to this series. But once you've done that, right, and you've asked for the sale, don't forget to reinforce their decision and make them feel good about making the decision, because think about what's going through their head, right? Most couples are opposites of each other, right? So although you might be into something and I really want to buy this, the partner, they've then got to go and explain to the partner who wasn't interested in it, right? Or they've got to then go and sell their partner. So the best thing you can do is really just send a voice note and say, look, congratulations, amazing. I can't wait to work with you. I can't wait to see your progress. Send them a text message. Get some system built where they get a personalized email or something in the post, a little chocolate bar or something like that. It goes a long way within the first 24 to 48 hours max of them making that purchase. We send a voice note to everyone that signs up. And it means a lot, because then, think about it, they're going to go to bed, they've made a purchase, the purchase might be 1,000, might be 20,000. But they're going to go to bed thinking, oh, crap, is this
the right thing to do? Have I made a mistake? And all these little thoughts start coming up. Even if you've had the most amazing conversation leading up to it and they feel really on board, it's human nature to have buyer's remorse. So I think as part of the customer journey there, having a step in there just to kind of, to make them feel happy about the decisions they've made, or a part of something, and a little surprise can really go a long way. The only thing I was going to add on to this as well, we can't really talk about sales unless we talk about follow-ups as well, because so much of the conversion rates in the follow-up, I see so many people, they do everything right. Everything we've just said, the traffic's right, the leads are right, the conversion's good. They go for the sale, and let's just say, you got a 70% conversion rate. So seven out of 10 people buy. There are 3 people there, and what a lot of people do is they just leave it, right? The sale didn't go through, or they didn't get back to you, whatever it is. They don't contact them. Make a habit, build a process to get in touch with people who didn't buy very, very quickly, within 24 hours, the next day, or a few days later, and make sure that you're trying to re-engage them for either a lower tiered product or service, so they can actually start being in your community and having some sort of access to you, even if it's just like a month free of this, or an ebook, or a taster of what you do, or maybe if you're doing you've got a year-long course, they can sit in on one of the group sessions just to see how much value they would get from that, right?
Yeah.
And you might find that your conversion rates massively improve just by doing that, just by following up properly.
Yeah. There's a saying, the money's in the follow-up, and it's so true. Like the amount of conversations that just die and fall off because someone hasn't bought, when in actual fact they just needed some more confidence, maybe something explained a little bit better. Maybe
Or more time to make the decision.
Or more
right?
time to make the decision.
And if you just sort of, let them drop off a cliff and that's it, they're not going to be thinking about that again. So you've got to try and stay present in their lives for that time. So they've got a longer period of thinking time. For some people, it can take months to actually make the decision, especially if it's a big purchase, right? I've made purchases in the past where I've been following people on Instagram or something for 3 years and then decided to make a purchase, right? Because the timing wasn't right, or I didn't trust them enough, or there were too many other people I was looking at as well to kind of compare them to. Yeah. And over time, you'll be surprised if you've got a good following, you've got the traffic in place, and you're building up that know, like, trust. You've got the video content out there. You'll be surprised just how how the conversion rates work. A year or two down the line as well.
And the most important point on that as well is you find out why they didn't buy. And guess what? When you find out why they didn't buy, you just create something to add to your thing, right?
Just like negative feedback, right? We spoke about negative feedback before. All objections are there to serve you, to help you refine your product. So, I think a lot of it with sales is confidence. So if you're watching this and you're not feeling confident about sales, stop thinking about it's only a success if you get the sale. It's not. You're learning about your product. You're learning about your target market. It's a success if you have a sales conversation, and it's even more of a success if they give you real feedback on how to improve your service, right? The trickiest thing is when someone doesn't give you feedback, because you can't use that for anything. So, asking them to give honest feedback. Okay, if it's not for you right now, the timing's not good, I'd love to you just give me really honest feedback on what it is that wasn't right for you, so I can improve for other people. I'm not here to pester you. I'm not going to try and sell you again. I just want to know what I can do to improve this for other people in case I meet that objection again. And I think being upfront and honest with people is actually quite refreshing and helps you grow your business. So yeah, if you're listening to this and you're worried about sales, get out there and just see it as having not getting sales, but getting sales conversations, right? If they buy, brilliant. If they don't buy, brilliant, because you can find out how to refine your product or service even more. And I think that takes the pressure off, having to make sales, right? Just having sales conversations is the goal.
Amazing. And just to follow up and kind of finish off, really, we're going to be talking about upsells and continuity, which is really about following on from conversions to sales and making sure that you've got a way for your existing clients to feed back to prospect. Again, you're starting to create this machine that like a flywheel effect, and then having other offers that will then serve them at different levels. So if they didn't buy your first thing, maybe sell them another thing. If they did buy your first thing, what's next, right? So that you want to create this lifetime customer value, and you want to make that as big as possible. And I'll explain in the next episode why that's so important. If you've got any other tips on this, let us know as always, and I hope you enjoyed it from me and Seb. See you next one.
If you're enjoying these podcasts, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're really getting value from these, we'd really love it if you could let us know on our review page. We'll see you next week.